E3 is finally among us once again. Well, technically it's next week. I believe it's from June 12th to the 15th. But we gotta talk about a lot of stuff that's happening. And I mostly want to do this video today because I know we might be getting leaks over the course of the next week. Some are going to be fake, some are going to be true. That's how they usually get you. They sprinkle in the truth that sounds so ridiculous you don't believe it. And then when they sprinkle in stuff that sounds not as true, you believe it, but then ends up being fake. That makes sense. Comment section below. I want to see who calls it. Who's going to call the next big releases that we're going to see next week? So if you want to predict Xenoverse 3, if you want to predict Naruto Fighters, whatever, let me know down below. And then next week, if you called it right, I want you to send me a screenshot on Twitter at Rhymestyle. Tag me. And by the way, if I see edited, I know you cheated. So make sure you don't actually have me show me an edited comment, which I know people are still going to do anyways. Regardless, E3 is hype. And we're potentially getting some crazy news next week. So first and foremost, let's talk about the leaks that we know about. There's two main ones I want to discuss. The first one being My Hero Fighters. Yeah, you heard it right. My Hero Fighters. I did not believe this. You know, this originally when it first popped up, you know, people were texting me like, do you think this is true? Does it sound like something they would do? And I was like, nah, there's no way. This is fake. I don't believe it. And then I'm looking into it. It actually trended on Twitter. That's how big it was. And I'm like, you know what? This sounds kind of believable. Not even gonna lie. In case you have no idea, there's allegedly being a potential announcement next week that they're going to drop My Hero Fighters, which is going to start with like a 25 character roster, which is normal fighting games. And I believe it's a 2v2 fight system similar to what we saw in Fighters. I don't know if it's going to play exactly like Fighters, but Guilty Gear games, they kind of have like that formula to follow for the games. That's the Guilty Gear games, Arxis games, I mean. So it might be plausible. And honestly, if it is, I welcome it. And My Hero Fighters will be so much fun. I don't know how it's going to last compared to Fighters, but I think it's going to be a very, very enjoyable game. My only problem with Guilty Gear games in general, speaking actually about Guilty Gear this time, is I always got behind the Guilty Gear games whenever they came out, but I played them in such a short run. Like, I will play them for a couple weeks, a couple months, and then I kind of just forget about them. Fighters is different for me because I grew up with those characters. I grew up with Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball, and having an actual fighting game behind Dragon Ball to me was just like the perfect formula. So if you do stuff like that, you know, in the future, I'm down. By the way, comment section below, which game, if you were in charge of Arxis, would you have given the Fighters treatment to? This is the part where everyone's going to say Fighters. I'm going to give you a different answer. See that guy right there? That's Hiei. That's an animation cell from episode 108, I think. Something like that. It was when he had this final fight in the end of the series. And if they ever took that and threw it against Hunter x Hunter, like Yu Yu Hakusho versus Hunter x Hunter Fighters, you can't tell me that that game wouldn't slap. Put Hiei, Meruem on the same team. Let me fight Kuwabara, Knuckle, or Gon and Yusuke. That will be a fire game. If you've never seen Yu Yu Hakusho or Hunter x Hunter, you probably don't even care what I'm talking about. But if you have seen it, that game would absolutely slap. And I know a lot of you guys would love to see a Bleach Fighters, a JoJo's Fighters, Naruto Fighters. Basically, give me what you want to see down below and let's see where you guys stand. Also, if My Hero ends up being a true game for the Fighters treatment, how do you feel about that? I know a lot of people may be excited about it. Now, something I want to talk about, though, is usually the way Japan handles their games. It's based off of what's basically hot right now. The reason why you haven't gotten a Naruto game in a long time is because Naruto finished. Like, it finished. Yeah, we have Boruto, but that's a whole different series. That's Boruto. That basically, if they do a Boruto game, it will be based around what's happening in Boruto right now, in the anime and the manga, from when Naruto ended to where it's at right now. That's kind of how the game would work, you know? That's why they very, very rarely go back and cover old games, unless it's like a special franchise like Dragon Ball, for example. They were doing that a long time before Dragon Ball even came back. That's why they probably went with My Hero. But still, they could have done One Piece. They could have done Demon Slayer, even though Demon Slayer is getting the Arxis, or not the Arxis treatment, but the CC2 treatment with their Arena Fighter. They could do stuff like that. But yeah, like as far as like older games, it's very difficult for them to revisit just because they want to basically push and promote whatever series is going on right now in Japan. This is probably why they chose My Hero. Now, this video isn't supposed to be all about My Hero. Now I have the opposite point to prove here. So a while ago, like I want to say like 2-3 years ago, we got word that CC2 is working on a very special game that apparently the director or president, I forgot who it was, somebody high up, was super passionate about. Now this is one of those cases where I feel like they could bring back an older game, whether it be, let's say, Bleach with the Storm treatment, or I don't know, Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho with the Storm treatment, or whatever treatment they're going for. But it is possible they're going to do that. Now, they announced it, and then next thing we knew, Demon Slayer got announced for a future release, and we were all like, really? That's the game you were so hyped about? Okay. Guess what? That wasn't a game. This tweet went up earlier today, or yesterday when you're watching this video, or past week. This tweet right here went up, and this tweet literally says, this game, this secret game that they've been developing has brought them to tears. That's how emotional it was. And I'm like, wait a minute. So it wasn't Demon Slayer? They are working on something crazy. I don't know what it is yet. You know, some people speculated it could be Storm 5. I don't think it's gonna be Storm 5 because they basically said that they're done with the Storm series and they're like, they finished it. So it's very, very unlikely. But if they do something like, I don't know, a Bleach Storm style game, or maybe even do their own unique twist, I could see that happening. I could see them doing Yu Yu Hakusho. For all we know, they're doing Jump Force the correct way. I don't know. We'll find out next week. But in the comment section below, if you guys want to give me your best speculation and guesses what this game could be, go at it. I want to see who can call it. Again, I personally have literally zero clue what it could be. You know, a lot of people are sold on it being Bleach for some reason. And I believe the reason why Bleach is because, if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong this again, but I'm only just kind of speculating what I saw originally back when they talked about this like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The person in charge was a big Bleach fan, and I wonder if maybe that's the way that they correlated that there. And again, if it ends up being a Bleach game, I'll be shocked because it's like, again, when the series isn't going on right now, it's very difficult for them to justify doing a game behind it. Because again, the whole point of putting out the games, outside of making money, of course, is to kind of push the series is going on right now. And Bleach hasn't obviously been Bleach ended a long time ago. So if it ends up being Bleach, I'm gonna be shocked. Either way, if we are getting a My Hero announcement, whatever this game ends up being announced, also they're gonna officially announce probably Demon Slayer for the West. Next week is gonna be hype. Now the big question though, of course, is what does this mean for Dragon Ball? Honestly, I don't really know. I'll be real with you. I think, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope that next week I get proven wrong so badly, you guys come back to this video and say, Rhyme, you're wrong. I want to be wrong on this. But based on everything that's going on, I have a feeling that we're not going to get a Dragon Ball announcement next week. Now hear me out. The reason why is because Bandai, usually what Bandai does with their big anime games and their big anime franchises, they focus on a couple and then they drop like 2 or 3 banger games for the year. And I'm gonna say banger games, I'm not talking about like the best games, but the ones where they like go all out on, you know? Now we know that Aniplex is doing Demon Slayer, so that doesn't even really count in this situation. But if Bandai ends up doing a My Hero game for Arxis, and they end up doing whatever the CC2 game is going to be, those are going to be the big focuses for next year. Now, I know you're going to immediately go to the questions like, well, don't they have to do an annual game every single year? Yeah, this was the case years ago, but this hasn't really been the case in the last couple years. And the main reason why is because pretty much Bandai has been dominating that much that they're to the point where they don't necessarily have to drop an annual game. But they still have like strict guidelines they probably have to focus, but it's not as strict as it used to be. So if they don't announce a game this year, that doesn't mean they're gonna lose their license, it's gonna go someone else. Like that's not how it works anymore. So I kind of want to like stress that because I've gotten that a lot in the comments for the last couple times I've talked about this. But honestly, I have a feeling that, you know, with them kind of expanding and doing other games, like they're doing Scarlet Nexus as well, which is their equivalent to, I want to say, like their Dark Souls anime style game. I don't really know much about it, but I've been seeing they've been pushing it for the last couple years. That's gonna be their big baby. And of course, as far as the anime side, they're probably gonna go after stuff like, you know, this My Hero Fighters, and then whatever the CC2 game ends up being. I think they might honestly not drop any Dragon Ball stuff next year, which is a good thing. Honestly, I'd rather them take their time, because the thing about Dragon Ball games is what they try to do usually is they try to do something a little bit different, and sometimes they're kind of like pressed for time. So whenever they drop a new game in the Dragon Ball side, the game's fire, but my god, is a flaw, with the exception of Fighters, which was actually fantastic. I love everything that was done in Fighters. You know, if you look at, you know, a game like Xenoverse was like the first time where they actually took the Dragon Ball formula and they made it right, but my god, they got it wrong at the same time. Like the netcode was ass, the balance was trash. It was terrible. And then they followed up by doing Xenoverse 2 immediately, which fixed a lot of the problems, but not everything. And in fact, over the course of like the last couple of years, it kind of got worse and better and worse and better. And now we know where the Xenoverse world like stands. However, we also are to the point where they keep dropping DLC. So Xenoverse is still basically supporting itself. That's why I don't think we're going to get a Xenoverse 3 anytime soon. In fact, I'm confident we might not get it at all, if I can be real with you. I talked about this actually a couple months ago, but it's just weird to me that, you know, they pumped out Xenoverse 2 so fast, and here we are years later with nothing for Xenoverse 3. So knowing how Bandai does the games, to me, that's just weird. That's why I kind of gave up on the Xenoverse Dream hope. However, the dream here is they're working on something else and different, and it's scary because this could be ass. You know, last time they tried to be experimental, they gave us Battle Z, and that game was god-awful. It was fun for what it was, but man, it got boring fast. So if they end up doing a special kind of game that's different, I welcome it, because if it ends up being great, this is going to be the next thing we're going to play probably for the next year or two while they work on whatever else they're working on next. So That's the best case scenario. I don't think we're gonna get a drama game next week, which it sucks, especially as a drama content creator. Where I'm just like, I need games to play, man. I'm bored. Everything's dry right now. But at least we're gonna be getting the Demon Slayer game by Aniplex. We're gonna be getting this My Hero game, which I definitely plan on playing on the channel. And then whatever the CC2 game ends up being, I'm super hyped about. Honestly, I'm more hyped about the CC2 game more than anything. Again, next week, if you stay tuned, I'm going to do a live reaction of everything they do, all the conferences, twitch.tv/Rhymestyle, and anything that I feel like is video worthy, I will record and upload as well on here. So in case you missed that, don't worry, I got you covered. But yeah, overall, next week I feel like it's going to be insane. So in the comment section below, I want you guys to give me your best predictions and guesses, what you think is going to happen, what you think is least likely to happen. And let's just see where the community stands with it. But like I said, stay tuned. If you follow me on Twitter at Rhymestyle, I'll definitely be talking about it as it happens. And anything that I feel like is going to be newsworthy, I'm going to cover it on here as well with the video. So yeah, with that said, how excited are you about this My Hero news if this ends up being true? Again, I'm still kind of like iffy about this because I'm like, it's kind of weird that it chose that. Because, you know, the way I see it is One Piece is a much bigger franchise than My Hero. No offense to anybody who loves My Hero, but it just, we look at the numbers, it's just true. And I feel like a One Piece fighters would have probably done way better than My Hero. Unless they're just trying to really, like, you know, predict to see how far My Hero is going to go. And maybe One Piece is ending that much sooner where they don't want to basically, you know, put stock into it. That could be a thing. Because, like, the thing is, My Hero's going to be around for a while. And I believe One Piece is, like, getting closer and closer to ending. But then again, for all we know, that could be another 1,000 episodes, 1,000 chapters. It's kind of hard to, like, figure out what Oda's actually doing with it. But still, I feel like at One Piece Fighters would have been way more fun than a My Hero game. But still, that doesn't mean that My Hero game won't be fun at all, because there's so many cool characters and powers and abilities in that series, and you can definitely do a lot with that game. So yeah. So with that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Any predictions you have, stay tuned, and we'll discuss it as it happens when it happens. And if you end up being right, send me that screenshot. And if I see you edited it, I'm just gonna assume that you lied and updated that comment and then screenshot it afterwards. So make sure whatever you comment, don't make any editing mistakes that will require to edit it, or just delete the comment and repost it. But yeah, if you're excited for next week as well, hit that thumbs up, and I guess let's see what's gonna happen over the course of the next couple weeks of anime fighting games and just anime games in general. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the comment section below. Peace.